right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Kanipa Whitmack, Standing Bear, Soto Tribe, Fishing Lake First Nation, Saskatchewan, Canada, Treaty 4 Territory, Anishinaabe, 60 Scoop Survivor, published author. And welcome to July 15th. We've never been here before, Saturday. We are the Medicine Circle. That's what we're, that's why we're here. We are the Medicine Circle, which really implies that we are the medicine. That means we're better, when we're sitting together. And so that means, it also means I'm not in charge. So I'm kind of I am off the hook. I don't want to be on the hook, anywhere near the hook. This means that I'm in the service of the Great Spirit, and I'm in the service of this circle as well. And if no one said that, I love you today. I love you very much, which really just simply means that I want you to find, to live, to be the very best version that you can be, connected to all those beautiful things. And here, we talk about the red road, and so the road of wellness, the road of Mother Earth, the road of unity, the road of spiritual growth and health. And so we connect to those things, the medicines that really offer that to us, like, fire, water, air, earth kind of thing, so so yeah, that's what we mean by love you. We want you to connect to all those things, that bring life. So that's really what that means. So a couple of housekeeping things before we begin. If there's a lag in the connection, if there's a spinning wheel of death or something like that, just know, or if you get kicked off or I get kicked off, just know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to hit that play button again. We'll pick up right where we left off, and then we'll finish out the hour. Also, there was something else. Connections. Oh yeah, we're coming off 2 platforms. So so if you see me looking back and forth, that's what I'm doing. So I'm looking like this. These are the two cameras that I'm looking at. So and if you want to go over, because some people have a problem with Meta and Facebook, that's okay. You can just go over to Standing Bear, the author. Please like and subscribe. So we go live from there. At the same time we're live from there now. So we're going live from YouTube. So also we have we like every 4, 5, 6 months, we do create a new tag list. So the new tag list is up. If and this is for Facebookers. So if you do not want to get the notification anymore, there's on the top of every post, there's 3 little dots right here. Just hit that dot. There's going to be a drop down, and it says turn off notifications for this post. So anyway, that's let's get started this morning. Yeah. So we're gonna get started in the usual way. If you would like to have a little smudge with us, if you'd like to light it up, that's fine. Also, this question comes in all the time. It's what do I smudge with? Well, if you come from an indigenous background, use what your elders, your ancestors used. I use white sage because it's pretty prevalent. I get gifted a lot of things. That's one of the things that I get gifted. So that's one of the things that I use. I'm from Fishing Lake. We're Anishinaabe out of Saskatchewan, Canada. We use traditionally sweetgrass. So in the morning, my mom would smudge with sweetgrass, and yeah. So, but use whatever you want. You can smudge with cedar. I've never heard you smudge with tobacco, but maybe you can. Actually, a couple of South American brothers, they they smudge with tobacco. That's fine. So yeah, there we go. There we go. Also, there is a prayer out there from a grandmother out in Vancouver, British Columbia, that's suggested. When the grandmother suggests, that's no longer suggestion for the residential school children who never came home, and to honor them, to honor their families, to honor it is the smoke that connects us all. That's why we do that. There's so many things that connect us all. It's just not the smoke. It's the water, the fire, the earth, the air. You know, all these things they connect us all the time. So she wants to keep that prayer going. Um, you know, because there was a question the other day. That's great that you do it. You know, why do you keep reminding us? It's to keep that prayer, to keep walking with that prayer. It's so important that we walk with these prayers, and that means we hold them in a beautiful and sacred place, right? That's simply that. So, beauty, power, remembering we are better spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, when we remember those who have come before us, and that's one teaching right there. And so, yeah, keep those children in our hearts. That's another. Yeah, you know, there's so many beautiful aspects. You know, so anyway, so let us begin in the again the usual way. It's you know, if it, you know, the old ones say, if it doesn't begin with prayer, then it doesn't begin. If it doesn't begin with spirit, then it doesn't begin. So let's begin in a really good and beautiful way. And the only thing I would add to that, if it doesn't begin with offering, that's a Bearism. If it doesn't begin with offering, then it doesn't begin. So let us begin in a good and beautiful way. Breathe in that beautiful smoke. Time of great gentleness and great focus. And then Kitchimana 2, to all my relations. Kitchimana 2, great spirit, creator, great mystery. Chi Megwich, thank you for our breath. Chi Megwich, thank you for our circle. Chi Megwich for our day, for this day. Chi Megwich for our life. Thank you. Thank you for this time, and thank you for this place, and thank you for the opportunity for us to sit together. We come here today. We are grateful for our last breath, and we are hopeful for our next, and we live in that place in between. We come here today. We mean no harm in what we do. We come here in a good way, sacred way, humble way, Wonkapik, to listen in a sacred way, to sit in a sacred way. And I can't do that, and we can't do that without each other. We come here, the first reason always is life, the celebration of life, and not just a celebration of my own personal life, because that would be selfish. But we come here and celebrate all. We come here and we celebrate all life. We celebrate the circle, the sacred hoop of life. That is why we are here. So we move from selfish to selfless. We come here and we celebrate all nations, tribes, and circles as if we were celebrating ourselves, because we are. We celebrate a standing nation, the ones who offer the world breath. We say thank you. To the swimming nations, ones who teach us how to live in harmony and balance with the water, we say thank you. To the wind nations, ones who teach us how to live in harmony and balance with the wind and air, we say thank you. To the creepy crawlers and the slithers and the insect nations, the ones who teach us how to stay close and grounded to Mother Earth, we say thank you. To the four-legged nations, circles, and tribes, all of those four-legged nations, circles, and tribes, where they teach us and offer us and give us so much to and for our humanity, we say thank you. And of course, to other two-legged nations, circles, and tribes, we understand that you are our teachers as well, and this makes our ears and our hearts very happy. We come here today, we celebrate those things that give us life, air, water, fire, earth. We celebrate the 7 directions because we know love and life comes from all directions. We celebrate the ones who have come before us, our ancestors. And remember, if they are our relatives here, they are our ancestors over there. All life here is our relations. So we come from a million points of light and love. The Bear Nation, the Eagle Nation, the Wolf Nations, all these are our ancestors. And they all carry beautiful medicine and beautiful teachings for us. And they still do, and they are still here. So let us honor this. Honor their offerings and their gift of life and love for us. We give great thank you. And we also understand that some of our 2-legged ancestors were hurt, wounded, abused, and traumatized, and they passed that along to us. We acknowledge this. We acknowledge this heartbreak and this sadness and this trauma. But we also acknowledge this is a time for healing. And we also acknowledge that during this healing, it's okay not to be okay. But it's also okay to understand that what they gave us was not for us to carry, but for us to heal from. And not just for us, because that would be selfish. We are moving away from selfishness and going to selfless. That means we focus on the next seven generations, where we only borrow this earth from our children, and our children are only loaned to us. That means we are at the intersection between 2 unseen worlds, beautiful and powerful. They are right here with us right now. That's what makes them unseen, but doesn't mean that they are any less powerful. They hear everything that we say. Every word, every thought they hear. This is a time of great opportunity and responsibility to make this world a better place. So thank you, Creator, for offering this time and this place for us. It doesn't have to be the way it's always been. We get a choice to break those chains. It doesn't have to be the way it's always been. All those isms, alcoholism, violence isms, drug isms, codependency, is all these things that take life away. We get to heal from those. We get to heal from those. And what a beautiful day and opportunity is right here, right now, to move on and to heal our hearts and our minds and our spirits. And the ancestors were wise. They were clever. They left us a trail to follow, a well-worn trail, but one we can only see with our hearts. And that's a beautiful intention. To coming here today and say, I want to heal today. That's a beautiful intention, and that's what we are doing here today. The red road, the road of wellness, the road of unity, the road of all people, all nations, all tribes. We as Indigenous, we do not own this road. We do not own this road. We are stewards of this road. And we're here to help humanity. We are here to help humanity recover from itself, recover from that colonial mess that they brought to us. And there's teachings along this way. Humility, love, truth, honesty, respect, courage, wisdom. So we're here to make good relations with both seen and unseen. Spiritual and physical. So let us sit here today and let us sit with and honor the ancient sacred agreement of humility. the ones that align our hearts with Mother Earth and all other life. Let us sit today and honor all the six others, including love. And when we do that, that's a good day because we move one step closer to remembering and understanding the first prayer at the center of the universe. Harmony and balance. We are here to be the peacemakers, to use our words kindly to encourage each other to raise the vibration of the universe. We are not here for selfish reasons, but here to help the universe, help the next 7 generations live a better life. But we can't do it unless we're thinking only about ourselves and what we can get. So let's come here today and sit in a gentle way, compassionate way, and honor each other and lift each other up. All right. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. We are actually, I said that because there was a couple comments saying, well, we're in I think they were in New York or something. Well, we're just in New York. I don't understand why. He said, well, okay. So we are worldwide, right? We have people in Australia. We have in South Africa, yeah, of course, Europe too. We have many European brothers and sisters over there. So welcome everybody to everybody. So that's what we're doing here. So anyway, welcome again. We are the Medicine Circle. A couple things before we begin in earnest. Kind of preamble things, hollow bones, and that prayer that we just said is a hollow bones prayer because it connects us to all life. We honor, respect, pray for with all life. That's the hollow bones. And so hollow bones really comes in 2 parts. And this is where a lot of us get tripped up a little bit because, we come from that colonial world, which is really just about me, what I can get, how much I can get, how often I can get, it type of thing. So it's not really a giving. Colonial world it doesn't really teach us how to give in a really good, beautiful way. It's a greedy world, right? We become a world of takers, which leaves us out of balance. That's not a good or bad thing. That's just the medicine. It's just the medicine that they have, right? It's a lower vibrational medicine. That's all we have to say. We don't have to say it's good or we can leave that conversation at the door because once we do that, it invokes something within us. It invokes anger, fear, loneliness, all those things that we're trying to get rid of. So we just say no, thank you. That's all we say. We say no, thank you. So to that colonial world. So this comes in 2 parts. We know there's a life force out there. We're already attached to that life force, but that colonial world just kind of reminds us. This is why we say it because they teach us separation, right? That between me and Kimberly and Christina and Nina, but there's this huge separation where really in the spiritual world, in the spiritual realms, we're all sitting in the same circle. The circle of life, right? And there's really no separation between us, right? And so that's the illusion that the colonial world really offers us. Is you're separate, you're racist, and this is that. And so there's creating, and again, that's just simply the medicine. And we don't need a judgment. We need more prayers. So and the prayer is basically no, thank you. It's a neutral prayer. Okay, so we neutralize that feeling, and then we become empowered once we say no, thank you. So again, the 2 parts. The third time. Let's see if I can get it out. So the third. So we connect to those things that give us life. That's why we're here. That's the only reason why we're here. You can write that down. So we connect to the water flowing. We connect to the fire. Fire's already within us, right? To air and to earth, grounded, this beautiful, beautiful place, right? And really that's just the beginning, right? And it gets even better after that. The longer we come here, we sit here, we walk the red road, we understand the power and the majesty of the simplicity of just sitting with the earth, just sitting with that. It's like, wow, this really is a beautiful place. Because if you, again, contrast medicine, if you turn on the news, there's another narrative there. And basically we just say, no, thank you. Really, it's that simple. No, thank you. Right. So we connect to those things that give us life, and then the second part is we offer life. We offer prayers. Right. That means we connect to the water, and then we give prayers to the water. Right. That's a full circle thing. We pray with the water, for the water, because we are water. Right. It's not complicated, right? It's really that simple, right? And seeing that all of us have water within us, we're mostly water, and then we're when we pray for the water with the water, we're praying for all others. It's it's really that simple, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we get prayers for. Okay, so that's the hollow bones, and there was a comment the other day. It's like and it comes up, it just comes up every now and then. It says, well, Wayne, I would feel better if you just read the simple definition of it. Well, here's like the thing, and here's my response to that. It's like this is a fluid definition. So as we grow with spirit, in spirit, for spirit, so will our definitions of. So that's why I choose to do variations of the same the same definition, because there's 28, 29, 30 of us here, and over here on Facebook, there's a few more there on YouTube. But like, we're all in different places, right? We're all like right here. Some of us have 3 days sober, some of us have 3 months sober, some of us have been here for 30 years, right? Some of us have been here for longer than that, walking the red road. So we want to honor all those places, and it looks a little different every day, and really, um have this definition again. As we grow in spirit, so does our definition of it. So that's the reason why I do that. Okay, ancestors and elders. So it's very traditional that we thank those that have come before us, because it's pretty awesome. So it's that beautiful. It's an expression of gratitude, and that you can write down. That's why we give thank yous. It is so powerful. It opens up that beautiful spiritual door. It is a level of protection. It's actually our armor too. So the power of gratitude, especially when we talk about our ancestors and uh, our ancestors. So let's talk about this for a second. So we've been talking about this week quite a bit. When we go to the sunrise, right? Indigenous people of Turtle Island, my ancestors were very big on the sunrise ceremony, the pipe ceremony, the gratitude, like whatever it is, it has different variations. But the thing is welcoming the ancestors back. And it's not just the sun, the light, new beginnings. It's all the ancestors returning. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. Right. Thank you. Thank you for another day of life. I'm getting older, right? I'm in my 50s now, right? So now that there's people in my generation that they're starting to drop off, right? Right. We lost 2 or 3 people on, my age on the reservation recently, right? It's really sad, right? They just, people in high school that I went to, they're dropping off now, right? And the older I get, right? So it's so important that we understand that the power of life, the power of sitting in the circle. Like, often we don't understand how beautiful life is until we lose someone, right? A family member, daughter, an uncle, grandfather, something like that, So, but as we sit here today, we welcome the ancestors back, all of them back, you know, and they are here to guide us. They're here to protect us. They are here to provide all these beautiful, beautiful things, right? My life would be extremely different if I didn't welcome the ancestors back, right? Having that beautiful, that's part of the hollow bones, is allowing that beautiful flow. And what is that beautiful flow? That beautiful place of wisdom, right? I've only been here for 57 years, right? I don't have a lot of wisdom. I just don't. But, but when we offer, when we pray, this is a beautiful thing, right? That beautiful wisdom, it flows through me, right? That's a hollow bone. So don't congratulate me. It's that beautiful flow that flows through, and we are all hollow bones too. In fact, I might tell that story today. It's a story time today. So here, Actually, you know what? Let me write that down. Oh, go. You know what? And I just think we're going to tell more stories more often because I think I should. So anyway, thank you for your suggestions. Okay, so Elder, so thank you to Grandfather Tony Stonehawk. I've been with him for 30 years now, mind-boggling, 30 years now. So thank you to unbelievable. I'm just like I was writing yesterday, and well, I write every day, so it was just kind of like, but just thinking about the first time that I really was introduced to Tony, I was just like, you know, I I wish I remembered every conversation that we had. Like back in the early days, it was just kind of like it really hit or miss. My mind was really I was really wounded, right? But anyway, thank you to not sure where I was going with that, but thank you to Tony. Thank you, Stonehawk. He's Lenny Lenape out of Delaware. So thank you. Okay, circle medicine. No one's in front of us, no one's behind us, no one's above us, no one is below us. We are all equal here. That means every single one of you. That means Kelly and Frank and Kimberly and Navon and this is what we look like. Here, take a screenshot of this right here. This is what we look like right here. There we go. Take a screenshot. This is what, there really. Take a screenshot right there. To the YouTubers, take a screenshot right there. We are all intertwined and overlapping. We are all beautiful and powerful, stronger together. It's really that simple. And thank you to the grandmothers who offered this medicine to us. And that is Sweetgrass, the hair of Mother Earth. We are all intertwined, overlapping prayers. That's it, right? Not one prayer is more than important than the other, right? Do you see one prayer that is more important than the other? Do you see one strand that is more important than the other? So this is not some sort of patriarchy thing. That's why I saved that in the beginning. So this is not some sort of white guy in the sky where we have to beg for everything. That leaves us powerless, right? What we want is to become empowered, and we become empowered together, and that you can write down. So that's why we do what we do. So okay, sacred feminine, the life givers. We have to acknowledge the power, the beauty of the life givers, right? The life giver. We would not be here if it weren't for the sacred feminine. That's just the deal, right? None of us would be here. So thank you to that beautiful power of the sacred feminine. You are enough. You are beautiful, and you are sacred. And I don't know how many colonial circles, like you hear that from. Like I don't hear the Pope saying that. I don't hear the preacher saying. I don't hear anybody. But here, this is a way of life for us to honor the circle, the life givers, and the matriarchal, the grandmothers. Right? We honor the grandmother's prayer in the very beginning because it's a place of light and love. It makes us that much. It makes us better. It makes us. It aligns ourselves with that beautiful, beautiful place called life, and that you can write down too. So. Okay, so actually, we are going to do a question of the day. Well, it's Saturday, it's a weekend. We're just going to take our time. I think I say that every day. But, I love you guys, man. I just love the way you guys let me just the way we work together. So anyway, and these questions, these come from you, right? So if you have a question, please just let me. There's a lot of questions. So the little lawyer in me has to say, hey, please keep your questions as soon as the comments coming. I do not guarantee that I will get around to all of them, but I will get around to as many as I can. So that's like the lawyer bear. I have to say that because some people get a little sideways if I don't answer it like within 15 minutes. And I'm just like, look, I get a lot of messages every day, right? So anyway, this is a really good question. There's been a lot of recovery questions lately, which is awesome. I love my brothers and sisters in recovery. I'm right with you. I love you. And it's just another beautiful, here it is, recovery, a beautiful way to heal, right? Like we are healing. We're not bad people becoming good, right? We're just becoming healthy, right? The same thing that we're doing in this circle. It doesn't look any different, right? right? This is not a place of blame, shame, guilt. That world, that's what that gives us, right? And so what do we say? No, thank you. Like, you see how easy that is? Blame, shame, guilt. No, thank you. But you did this, this, and this. No, thank you. Yeah, but you got arrested 14. No, thank you. Yeah, but look what you did. No, thank you. Like, that's really what we do here, right? We dismiss those things that give us that blame, shame, guilt. So anyway, not quite sure where I was going with that either. But here's the question: recovery, the red road, and the 12 steps. Whoa. Okay, let me get warmed up here. What is actually, there was a lot of back and forth. This is from a woman out in California, the Bay Area, and she's in recovery, and she comes from a lot of Christian trauma, right? Christian trauma. So now she's in Bible, Christian, Jesus, think, right, trauma, and now the program, the 12-step program that she is based on 12 steps, which are the 12 apostles, which is the Bible base, which is Bill Wilson, Dr. Bob, and Bill Wilson. What is your take on that? Like, how did you negotiate that? Right. Great question. Right. And because we talk the red road here, that's what we do, the road of life, the road of unity. Right. And this is a really beautiful, powerful question, right? Thank you for this question, right? Let's talk about the red road. It says recovery, the red road. What is the road of wellness, right? The road of wellness, the road of healing, the road of unity, right? It is not the road of disunity, right? It's not the road of hate, right? We simply, let's go back. We simply dismiss what doesn't work spiritually, and what doesn't work spiritually. We begin with the spirit, but we begin with all those things that bring us life and love, like humility, truth, love, wisdom, respect, courage, honesty, right? So I do remember at some point in my journey with recovery that I was really upset at the Christians, at the Bible, and like that, right? And there's that, right? Because it's not aligned with, no book can align with, the big white guy in the sky, the patriarchy thing, a flag in the face of the circle. Like we have to pray to the big white guy in the sky. We have to beg, basically. So that they make us powerless when we beg, right? And so that was like, when I finally got the traction in my recovery, I said, I don't want to beg. I just want to connect, right? But that's what the red road is, right? There's no big white guy in the sky that says, and just take this away from me, right? Just take, and how many times in early recovery did I say that? I said, just take it away from me, God. Jesus, I believe in, just take it away from me. And, it never worked. It never did, right? Because the price has to be paid, right? I got to put some skin in the game, right? I got to put some skin in the game, right? I got to find what's right. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, right? So the way, and I've had long conversations with grandfather telling me about this. I say, well, I don't want to go to this 12-step Bible-based Christian thing anymore, right? And as well, write this down. This is probably one of the most important things that I've ever heard in my life, right? Take what's right and leave the rest, right? Take it as a practice in what? The truth, right? So align the 12 steps with what? The seven sacred laws, the 7 sacred teachings, right? Use it as, hey, this is a way to find out your truth, to get closer. This is a lesson in humility, right? And I'm like, that I can agree with. Absolutely, right. That I can absolutely agree with, right? You know, you know, you know, take what take what applies to the seven sacred teachings, and I can leave the rest. And I could just basically say no, thank you, right? Yeah, no, thank you, right, right, right. So where's humility and recovery? I can't have recovery without humility. I can't have recovery without the truth. I can't have recovery. They just change. They just, the 12 steps of the Bible, they interchange the truth that I need to recover and live a good, beautiful, happy life, right? Like, the 12 steps, that program, it says, like, I have a disease. Like, I don't think I'm diseased, right? You know, no, I'm a guy that shouldn't drink, right? I agree with you there, right? Sort of crack doing heroin, probably not a good idea, right? Not a good idea, right? So we're in agreement there, right? But do I have a disease, or do I need to be aligned, right? To align with this beautiful, beautiful thing, right? Beautiful thing with Mother Earth. Mother Earth doesn't use drugs; it just aligns itself, right? When I sit with the sunrise, like, I feel good. That's genuine. That's powerful. When I offer myself to the day, right? I want to align my voice, my life with you, the great Mother Earth, to the great truth, right? That's really, and then I feel better. And then there's a relief there. That's humility. That's love. That's wisdom and respect. And that's all those things, right? That's my prayer every morning. That's that. And here's the thing. That's where the 12 steps help me get to, right? Right. I can't knock what helped me because it's part of something that doesn't. Write that down. Right. Thank you to Grandfather Tony for showing me such a beautiful, powerful gentleman. Hey, you know what? The 12 steps, man. You know what? The premise is don't use. Okay. I think that's a really good thing, right? Don't use, don't drink. That's a really cool thing, right? Take what's beautiful. Okay. This is a practice in Red 12 steps. Practice in honesty, right? Replace those things with some sort of God thing. I don't even use that word anymore. Just God is just kind of like that. It's just like, I use words like humility, like truth and love and wisdom and all, and Mother Earth and all these things, right? I I use those now, and you know what? I don't label myself, anything. Like, I label myself human, right? That's enough. So I don't label myself alcoholic or addict, or when I go to a 12-step group, I just say I'm a human that shouldn't drink, right? I'm a human that shouldn't drink, right? I don't want to label myself other anything other than human, right? That's the dangerous thing. When I start labeling myself like, oh, you're addicted, you have this disease, and you're diseased, and you always have to do this, and it's dependence and reliance, and I'm like, no, my dependence and relies on what I do every day for you, aligning myself with those seven sacred truths. That's as simple as that. And the fact is, when I do that, the drinking and drugging, the thought is just not there. The thought that overrides all others, right? I'm just not there anymore. I just, like, it's just not even a thought, right? And even if it was a thought, we talked about this the other day, you guys brought it up, is, say that thought came to my head, right? I'd be like, and I remember talking to Grandfather Tony about this. I said, I was years into this thing, right? And I'm thinking, like, oh my God, I thought about drinking. Oh my God. And you know what? We are so ingrained in to blame, shame, guilt. And that's what I did, because that's what they taught me to do. That's what this colonial world taught me to do. Oh, blame, shame. Oh God, I'm so bad. What's wrong with me? Oh my God, I'm diseased. Oh my God. I'm like, no. That's simply the spirit telling me, hey, you got some work to do. Let's go back to let's go back to ceremony. Let's go back to humility. Let's go back to truth. Let's sit in that beautiful place and let's pray it out. Let's talk it out. Right? That's all that is. So what do we say to that place, to the addict, to the alcoholic who's still suffering and says, oh my God, I've been here for, like, oh my God, all this time, and I'm still, no, just say, all right, no thank you to the blame, shame, guilt, right there. Write that down, right? one of the greatest lines, one of the greatest teachings Grandfather Tony ever taught me was to say that, hey, no, thank you. Don't want it. It doesn't serve my life. Why would I use it? Why would I say it? Why would I have it in my life? That's like, yeah, right. I love you. Right. Yeah. Right. So, in actuality, the short version of the long story is that I'm writing my own. It's slowly coming along, but it should be coming out later this year or early next year. Is recovery and the seven sacred principles, right? That's clear. So it doesn't even have. So I'm right with you. I'm right with you. We don't need any colonial isms inside, inside our recovery program, right? That's what I'm doing, right? I mean, that's one of my writing projects. So I'm right with you, right? So it's a Mother Earth based recovery, never been done before. So, right. So no Bible based, no Jesus, no nothing. It's just like, hey, the truth. The truth is that we are Earth. And when we align ourselves with Earth, that harmony, that balance, then the drinking and the drug question just doesn't is not even a frame of reference. It's not even a conversation, right? And that's the truth, and that's like the power of it, right? That's it right there. So okay, so we are. Oh my God, we're running way over. All right. I love you guys. If no one said that, they love, and this is a conversation of great gentleness too, right? No one's angry. Nobody's getting in jail. No one, let's be very loving and very gentle with each other right now, right? This is not a place of separation. This is a place of coming together, right? Right. This is a place of healing, right? This is a place to say, I love you, and let's sit together. Right? Let's sit together and talk about this thing. So anyway, what comes to colonialism, we just say no thank you. That's really it. That's the only thing that we really have to say, right? So because it's there to antagonize us, right? To make us angry, feel sad, lonely, depressed again. And so, like if it's making you feel that way, then that's okay. But just say no thank you. Say right away, as quickly as you can, no thank you. I think I'd rather live a really good, happy life than like be like that, right? So, okay, so we were going to do a bunch of stories today. I love you. We might do a couple of them. Yeah. I was going to tell a longer story, but I don't know. Like when I talk about the longer stories, that's a 20-minute story. We don't even have 25 minutes left, so we got 15 minutes left. So, actually, I'm going to tell that there's this one story. This is I guess, a recovery-based circle this morning. So let's talk about a couple of things, stories. Let's talk about colonial storytelling. Let's talk about storytelling. Hold on. The big reset. Okay. Education through indigenous storytelling. Right. Okay. We didn't have schools. Back in the 1800s, 1700s, we didn't have schools. We had stories. We had sitting together. We had talking. We had listening. That was our education, to connect with all those things that give us life and love, right? Connect to those things, the plants and the animals and this and that. And so, and a big part of, and, write this down, is, the introduction of imagination, right? Huge part in our education, something that the colonial education takes out. What the colonial, this is just contrast medicine, right? And the religions, they do this too. So they exchange the narrative and the information that they feed us until we believe that that's the only information that there, and really it's not. So So they give us, they focus on like a little information like this big, right? And so through kindergarten through 12th grade and beyond, that's the only thing that we focus on until we believe that's the truth. That's the only truth. That's what they do. So, but, and so what do we say? We say no, thank you. And so that leaves us space to introduce new things, but we can't do it without imagination. So when we tell stories of like grandmother mole, right, that puts in our mind, you know, that's not entertainment, it's education, right? Grandmother mole, that's a living, breathing being. It humanizes it. It says, oh my God, grandmother mole, that's beautiful. You know, grandmother butterflies, you know, grandfather eagle, grandfather. That's why we do that. It's like, oh, that's a part of us. You know, since the first times of the first fires and the first songs and the first dances, this is what we have been doing, right? Introduction of so let's tell. I'm not, we're just gonna run over, just so you know. I love you. I love you. I'm sorry. I try to keep to an hour. I really do, but I fail miserably every time. So this is a recovery-based story. And I told this story, and here's the thing. This is what Grandfather Tony did too. He did like he would tell several stories over and for years, right? So back in the day, Grandfather. So we go to a lodge on Saturday, we go to a lodge on Sunday. We did that every weekend. I just loved hanging out with Tony, man. He was great. There's no greater love with an elder, right? So I just sit there and you know, but the thing was, like, he would tell the same story for a couple of years, right? For a couple of years. I mean, like, well, that's great, Tony. We've heard that twice in the last 2 weeks, man. Why are you keeping, yeah. And Tony would just kind of like laugh. Yeah, I know. So the education to that. So I told this story recently, within the last, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 months, something like that. You know, the story doesn't change. You do. You know, and when Grandfather Tony told me that, I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. Oh, that. Oh, wow. Okay, because my perspective was changing. My my growth. I was growing. I was healing. So when we grow and we heal, we have a different perspective, right? Right. And basically, he was calling me out. He said, "Well, if you're not growing, then the story doesn't change." Right. It's the same old story. And like, I get that. And, like, I get a couple comments from the circle. It's like, well, you told that story. I'm a little tired of that story. And again, we would have to go into that conversation. Well, the story doesn't change, you do. So it really engages you to see how your spiritual growth is. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not boring. And it just, the story is changes and dynamic. So we're going to tell a couple of stories. The shortest stories, just so we don't run too far over today. So, the first story, and I like to close my eyes because I see more with my eyes closed when I tell these stories. When I'm sitting in ceremonial lodges, I do it with my eyes closed. So it's just like I see more. It's like vivid, right? You really. So, let's light up a little sage again. Let's get relaxed. Put both feet on. And let's find that relaxed spot. Let's breathe again. And this is recovery. This first one is going to be a recovery-based story. And we'll dig into it like a little bit at the end. And this is more of a, again, recovery-based story. So there was a father and a daughter. And the daughter would come up to him all the time and say, Daddy, 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 let's go do something. Let's go to the park. Let's go to the zoo. Let's do all this fun stuff. And and then but the father was working all week. He said, maybe on the weekend we can go. So anyway, the weekend came. It was Saturday morning, and the daughter came running in. The daughter's like 8 years old, 8, 9 years old. The daughter came running in and said, Daddy, Daddy, let's go do something. Let's run out. And the father, um, he had a house project to do. He was fixing the den or something. He was working in the garage. He had a project to do, and he was trying to get it done. And so says, well, just wait a little bit. Just wait a little bit. And so every 5 minutes, the daughter came back and said, Daddy, Daddy, it's a time now, Dad. It's a time now. And then the father looked at him and said, well, in 5 or 10 minutes, we'll go. So anyway, a few minutes later, again, the daughter came back. And so finally, the father said, okay, I need to give my daughter a project to do. So he went to the closet. So what can keep her busy for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and that'll give me enough time to get what I need done, and after we'll go do something. So anyway, he went to the closet. Went to the closet, looked in there, and he was going through some games, and then he found this puzzle and said, "Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect." And the puzzle was a map of the world. And the map of the world, it was color coded. The continents and the countries, they were all different color. The oceans were different color, and he said, "This is perfect." Right. So we took down the the puzzle, and he called his daughter in and said, here, I want you to do this puzzle, and after you're done, then we can go out. And the daughter was excited, agreed, had a project to do. That's what she was looking for. So she took the puzzle, and she ran in the other room, and finally the father had a few minutes, a couple hours to finish his project, right? So anyway, the father just getting started. 5 or 10 minutes into it, the daughter came back in and said, "I'm finished." And the father looked down at her and said, What do you mean finished? What do you mean finished? How did you?" Said, "Dad, it was easy. I found a man on the back of the puzzle, and when I put the man together, the world came together." And that made a lot of sense to me, man. A lot like I heard that in my first couple of years of recovery, and something that I really, really held on to, right? It's really, put the world together. My take later on to that was, when I connect to the world. So when the man connects to the world comes together, right? But I can't do that alone. I can't do that with one holy book or one religion. I have to connect to the world in order for me to get better. Right? Brings tears to my eyes. I remember just when Jeff talking about that and just being like, holy wow, that's that's you know you know and each time I tell it, each time I hear it, again, it it invokes a certain something inside of me. It invokes great gratitude. It tells me, every time I listen to it or tell it, it tells me what I have to do and really how to do it. That means I have to connect to the world. The man has to connect to the world to what? To bring himself back together. So that means, and the world doesn't have, Mother Earth doesn't have a religion and doesn't have all this. The world, Mother Earth doesn't have 12 steps. It doesn't need 12 steps, but it has that beautiful place of connection, right? So when I connect to the water, when I honor the grandmothers, when I say this, the feminine is sacred and beautiful and powerful, that brings a part of me back, right? I didn't know that. Like I thought it was a compliment, but really, what it's doing is bringing a part of me back to myself. Well, when I sit by the fire, right, it brings a part of me back to myself. It reminds me that there's a beautiful fire, you know, within me, and the Great Spirit. It offered me a piece of that great fire, right? And that great fire is found. Like, just think about that a second, right? And this is where this story took me, right? You know, right? The Great Spirit, the creator of the universe, you know, gave you a part of the first fire that ever was, and put it right here. Boom, 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 boom. That's the song and the sound of the first fire, the first song that ever was. You're a part of that, right? But so it took me going to it, and here let's bring in the question. So I heard that in a 12-step meeting, right? Take what's right, take what's good, go with that. And I remember taking that story to Grandfather Tony, and I said, because I would had this thing with the 12 steps, and on NA or AA, whatever it was, CA, whatever it was, but I had this thing against it. And I said, Tony, like, I'm trying to hold this thing against the 12 steps because it's a Bible-based thing, but I really love this story. What do I do with it, right? So we're back at that beautiful place. So I'll break down that story. So break down that story and tell me, what that story is. And so that's what we're doing here. That's what I'm doing with you, right? Every single one of you, right? 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 And again, there's a lot of different aspects to this story. Masculine and feminine together. The masculine listening to the feminine, right? Powerful, coming together. You know, the sacred feminine teaching the male, the father, that I need the world to bring not only us together, but the puzzle together. That great puzzle that's out there, right? It tells us how to solve, to work with, work with all these beautiful things, right? And the story came so beautiful, so powerful, and so dynamic. Even to this day, 30 years in, to the Red Road, I'm still getting something out of it, and that's a beautiful thing, right? That's and I can remember like 10 or 15 years ago talking to Grandpa and Tony, because this would come up every 2 or 3 years, right? This conversation, hey Tony, hey, guess what I heard? Tony, guess what, man? That guy in South Broward, man, told the story. I mean, I love that story, man. And Grandpa John would tell me that story, and so I would tell Tony the story that I just told you, right? And be like, okay, you and then Tony would be like, well, what did you get out of it? So now I'm asking you what you're getting out of it. So put that, like, and you don't need to be in recovery to, like, don't have to be an ism to, like, have like benefit from the story. It's not a necessary thing. It's just like, hey, let's bringing the man together, the person together takes what Mother Earth, right? Right? And that's a beautiful thing, right? That's a beautiful thing, you know. So you don't need to be an alcoholic or drug addict to have to benefit from this story, because it's a human story. Right. 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 It could be called recovering from colonialism type of story, right? We're all recovering from, colonialism. So what do we do, right? Thank God there's guys like Grandfather Tony now that I can go to, and I can call up and be like, look, let's sit, let's have a fire, let's go, let's jump in a lodge, and we just sit there and laugh and cry and do all that good stuff, right? You know, you know, you know. I'm not sure if I should tell another story this time, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. It's really a short story. Just hang with me just for a second. So, again, this is one of my own personal stories. Uh, Let me tell my. I love talking on my feather here. Um, so the setup to this story. This is one of my own personal stories. I had met Grandfather Tony back in the early '90s. and then for the first 3 or 4, I mean, I was so nuts back then. I was so angry. I like so that Tony said, look, man, you just need to show up to say that's all you need to do, right? You need to show up and you need to just, and so like I struggled showing up too. I did because it was just like, I don't like being told what to do. Don't tell me what to do. And, it's like that. Well, that's how I was, right? But I ended up showing up anyway, almost every time, right? So I showed up and there I was, and then actually, you know what? Maybe I'll tell you a couple stories. So and this is a story that I like to tell a lot. So it's just like, like if you sat in lodge, I mean, this is like one of those lodge stories. So, um, and then Tony said, hey, look, like, and so this was my first job, like we all have roles inside the sacred, and, like the lodge, right? So one of Tony's saying, and this is beautiful, and there's a counter, right? So in Sweat Lodge, we bring in stones, right? Well, someone has to count. So I guess Tony was trying to bring me into the fold and make me feel part of and all of that. It was really beautiful that way, like, and it was really beautiful. So he goes, okay, we need like an official counter for the stone, and he like looked right at me, and this is my first job ever. So like I'm 4 or 5 years into this thing, maybe 5 or 6, maybe, something like that. Said, all right, you're gonna be the official counter today, and I'm like, okay. All right, so now like the pressure's on, right? So now I'm in this like Sweat Lodge, like I'm like the official counter, so I have risen, I have arrived. So like the pressure was on, like that's really how I was. I'm like, oh my god, I'm like the official counter at the freak. Oh my god, I can't believe it. God, it was like that, right? I'm thinking like, oh my god, the ceremony can't go on without a counter, like and like I'm the counter, right? I'm like the official stone counter, so I have to get this right? Like I put all this like pressure on me, So anyway, um, like the first round went really well because it's only we bring in 7 stones, right? So anyway, oh, then I start getting a little confident, a little arrogant. I guess I really don't know. I don't know. So so in the second round of the first time that I was the official counter, I lost count in the second round. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And the deal is, Grandfather Tony's teaching is that if you lose count, we start over at 1. So we started over at 1 3 times. So that second round, there was a lot of stones in there, and I was getting a lot of looks from a lot of people, and I was not happy about. I was embarrassed. I was this, I was that, And so anyway, that was that round. We did that round, and then the next round, Grandfather Tony gave me an assistant counter. so so there was people helping me there in the third round, and that was the last time. That was 25, 26, 27 years ago. I guess I don't know, but you know what? I have never lost count ever back. I'm never. I always know exactly how many. That means I was aware of what was going on inside the lodge, whereas before I wasn't. I was trying to be something, but I wasn't aware, right? When we're aware, then we know what's going on and going happening. So anyway, that's and so later on, this is years later, probably like a decade later. I had I was Grandfather Tony's firekeeper for 12 years, right? For 12 years, I thought I had risen to the ceiling. That's what I loved. I loved sitting by the fire. I loved getting there early. I mean, I would get there 4 or 5 hours early just to clean out the lodge space and clean it up and line the stones up and do the medicine wheel and the prayers, and like I loved it, right? Thought I found my place. I had no intention of being a pipe carrier or anything like that. I just wanted to be a very simple, I didn't want to ride boats. I didn't want to travel. I just wanted to be Grandfather Tony. That was it, right? So, um, so anyway, I one, and we did a lot of ceremonies out in Brighton, Seminole Reservation. That's in kind of Central Florida, right? Like back in the middle of like the Everglades, right? Well, we had a lot of space there, and so sometimes we would have a morning lodge, and sometimes we would have an afternoon lodge. Sometimes like we would have them both, right? So that day, like we had a morning sunrise lodge. So like I was up at 4 in the morning. We lit it at 5. We were in by 7, and then and then we were done by noon, and then we were like the second fire, and like 4, we were in by 6. Then excuse me, then we were done by like 10, 11, 12, something like that. So anyway, it was one of those days, and I was firekeeper both times. I just loved sitting by the fire. It was not work. I loved it, and I kept on making prayers and making offerings, and I felt so alive. I felt, just that presence of that beautiful, great thing, right? So, uh, so, uh, so we finished up the second lodge, and it was probably around say 11:30 midnight, right? And I was exhausted. I was so happy. People were just fine. Grandfather Tony has long lodges because he tells a lot of stories in between the rounds, right? That's what makes it that long, right? So he was telling a lot of stories. I was sitting outside the lodge and telling, listening to stories, blah blah blah, and so and I was a really young firekeeper, probably just a couple years in, right? So uh, so I helped Grandfather Tony out, and I said, with all due respect and all due love, I said, Grandfather Tony, I'm so glad you're the hollow bones, right? You're the hollow bones, and I meant it with absolute love, and just I came from a place of honor. I was trying to honor Tony, right? But the great teaching came out. He looked at me like how the old ones, they kind of look at you when you say something funny. They kind of look at you, just kind of like, well, Grandfather Tony like gave me that look, I'm like, and then I'm like, I don't know what I said, I don't know what I did, but I think and then he went like, we were all hollow bones, and and that was an aha moment. I go, I get it now. I got it now. We are all hollow bones. Like don't just wait for me to come to you to do these lives so that you can. I'm not the hollow bones here. The way the circle medicine is, we are all hollow bones, right? We're all coming from that beautiful, beautiful place, right? When we come from this beautiful place of humility, then that creates that beautiful atmosphere of the spiritual atmosphere of hollow bones, right? Having that beautiful flow through, right? Having that beautiful flow. So there's 28, 20, 29, 30 of us here now, right? So there's 28, 30 hollow bones here now, right? So it's not just me. I'm not, and this is not about who's a better hollow bones or who's the worse or who's like that. There's like none of that, So when the elders sit together and I've gotten the privilege and the honor to sit with, I sat in a Soto lodge really not too long ago, and there were 7 or 8 elders there, right? 7 or 8 elders there, right? And and I was looking around. I'm like, this is so awesome, and it wasn't a competition, right? The Red Road is not about competition. It's not about who's better. It's not about who's been here longer or who knows more, who's worse, or it's not any of that. It's just simple understanding that we are all hollow bones and we all have something to offer, right? It's really that simple, right? It's really that. So And not to say that I don't appreciate your compliments when you do compliment me, but the real fact is, when we come here, we should all be complimenting. I say thank you, Cecilia. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you to all those beautiful people. Thank you, Dwami. Thank you to all those people that come here, that sit here. And the thing is, and we're gonna wrap it up. But the thing is, this is a teaching that is kind of overlapping, with each other. We say this ceremony may end, but the ceremony in you did not end, right? That means that's the teaching behind the teaching of that is you're the hollow bones too, right? So, we take what we lived, loved, learned, and listened to here. That's why we say that. I don't say that to look cool, to act cool, to sound cool. I say that to empower you to take what we have done here and to share that with the rest of the world, right? So it's not only hit that share button, but it take that here so it goes out there. Again, if it doesn't go here, then it won't go out there, right? Right. And it's really, it's really that simple. So we are, and the teaching here, and grandfather Tony, this brought tears to my eyes, right? When grandfather Tony said this to me, I'm not looking for students, right? Right. As much as I say write this down, and I mean write this down, but not as a teacher-student relationship, right? This is in a replacement. I am looking for a replacement, right? Grandfather Tony's looking for a replacement. Maybe I'm him, maybe I'm that guy. I don't know. But I'm all elders, they're looking for a replacement. It's not because of the personality, because this is the message that has to be shared, right? The message of light and love, humility. We are all equal. Right, we all have something to offer. There's all a place of that's the message, right? I'm just the messenger, right? And the messengers are looking for replacements. So maybe next Saturday we'll get down to like a larger, more traditional story. Maybe we will. Yeah. I think in the next Saturday. So write that in your notes as like Thursday or Friday. Just remind me, hey, this weekend is like, storytelling, storytelling. That sounds really good, right? That sounds really good. So anyway, just kind of close your eyes now. This is not entertainment. This is grounding medicine right here. This is a Danny Goodman flute. He is on my Facebook feed. If you're looking for a flute, this is a really good guy to go to here. Again, just kind of close your eyes and just take the medicine. Allow this grounding medicine to take you wherever you need to go. Right. The hope is to something beautiful, something powerful, something empowering. Right. That's the hope. Right. That's okay. thank you, everyone. Again, the final word is, I feel like I just did this. The ceremony may end, but the ceremony in you does not end. So let's take what lives here, loves here, learns here, and listens to here, and take it out to the four winds. It's no good to be all spiritual here if we don't take it out there. Once again, if no one said that they love you today, I love you very much. My name is Kenny Pruitt Macwan. Have a great day.